Oh my gosh, yay, finally we're doing this book review. I've been needing to do this for so long, like so crazy. I'm looking at the amount of books that I have here and I have 9 books that I've read, and I don't know, that's just so cool to me because like when I first started reading, I wasn't like starting to be like, I'm gonna be a reader, I'm gonna get into reading and stuff like that. I just genuinely fell in love with reading as soon as I started. So today I'm gonna be taking you through all of the books that I've read. I need to close my window, hold on. Basically today I'm going to be taking you through all of the books that I've read since my last YouTube video, giving you like a brief summary of them, the type of book that they are. I'll even show you like how many pages they are and like what the actual pages look like, because I know a lot of people are just getting into reading and you're not going to pick up a 300-page book where the text look like it's literally in 3 size font and all that kind of stuff. So I'll show you the different variations. I'm also going to go through in order of more like story time books versus like the self-help books versus the books that I think that everybody needs to read and have on their nightstand to refer back to throughout their entire lives. Okay, so let's jump into it. Woo! Reading. I wanted to start the video or have this video in my bed because I just felt like there was no better fitting place for it than where I do all of my reading. This spot right here, this is my side of the bed, this is where I do all my reading. My alarm goes off right on my nightstand right there. I set up my pillow, I turn it this way, I put my head against the wall, and I start reading as soon as I wake up. Honestly, sometimes I can't even read sentences when I first open my eyes, so I have to like lay there and like kind of stare at my window, slowly wake myself up. But I don't like to touch my phone because it just kind of snaps me back into reality. And who would want that? I'm just kidding. But really, I don't like to touch my phone until after I read, meditate, and reading's just such a big part of my morning. Kind of just slowly helps like wake up my mind in a very peaceful way, not in an abrupt way, not with things that I need to do, not with anything. It's literally talking about other people's lives, and it's just relaxing to me. It's very therapeutic, it's very meditative for me. I feel like I can just zone so hard into a book where I'm not thinking about anything else, any of my other problems, anything that's going on outside of me in this book does not matter, and I love that. I even have this little lamp right here. You guys can't see it, but I have a lamp here. But since she sleeps over sometimes, I got a little book light. You have no idea how excited I was about this book light. I got it off Amazon. I can link it for you guys down below. It has like different intensities, 3 different intensities. And I just keep it right here, and you can just like hook it onto a book like that and then turn it down. I love it. I really need to get bookmarks. I ordered bookmarks and they disappeared. I have no idea where they went. This is not going to be in the order that I read them, but let's just jump into it. I really hope I'm not forgetting any book. This one just to reference. Okay, let's start with storytime books. I feel like that's a lot of people's favorite books. They're easy to read. You can just like follow along with them. It's a story. Like, they're exciting, they're sexy, they're crazy, they're just like whatever they may be, and it's like kind of escaping your life for a little bit. So we love fun books. I'm pretty sure most of these are fiction. They might be nonfiction. I genuinely don't know. I don't really look into the research of the books that I'm reading that much. Like, I don't look into the authors that much. I really need to start doing that, but I don't look into the authors. I don't look into the back history of the book. I just like reading the books. It really just takes someone telling me this is a good book, and I'm like, fucking give it to me. So that's basically how all of these books ended up in my life. Let's start with 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo. I hope I'm saying that properly. I probably am not. 3 Women. This story is super fun. It is a fiction, right? No. This one is so cool. That's right. This lady actually studied 3 women for like a decade and like studied their lives and wrote stories about them. Legal parts of this book she had to like change or like do little situations based on like court cases and stuff like that. But this book is really cute. This is what the pages looks like. So that's the size of the text. It's about 1 inch thick and it's 304 pages. 304 pages. Words are pretty small, about 1 inch thick. So 3 women's really cool. Each chapter alternates through each woman. Let's say it's Katie, Sarah, and Haley, my best friends. So chapter 1 is about Katie, chapter 2 is about Sarah, chapter 3 is about Haley, and then it kind of circles through all of them. They never intertwine. It's more just like all their personal stories. One is like a sex affair, all of those kind of things. Don't really love my husband anymore. Like, they're all just like different sex stories, different types of things. One is like, I don't know. You guys just need to read it. It's really interesting. If you guys like sexy books, then I would recommend this one to start. Wow, we're starting off sexual. Number 2, we got The Girls. This is a novel by Emma Cline. My mom gave me this book. About the same size, except the words are a little bit bigger. So it's like that. And then 355 pages long. So, The Girls. This book honestly made me fucking cringe. Not the whole story. It's actually a really good story. It really gets you into it, very descriptive. You're like very in the scene when you're reading it. It's about, I don't know if you guys have heard this story. I don't want to call them a cult, but it was like, I don't want to call them a gang. A group of hippies that basically lived on like a farm together, or lived in this like weird abandoned place together, and they had this like master cult leader, ringleader, whatever you want to call him. He was like the leader, and all of these girls were in love with him and like have sex with him of all ages. There's like a huge group of them, and he's just the most amazing guy in the entire world. Like, they think he can like heal them. He thinks he has like this like he's basically their god, is like what it feels like. So they become so in love with him, and this is like a real life story. They like go and they kill some kind of celebrity. They make parodies, like I've seen movies about this story before I even read the book, and then when I was reading the book, I didn't even know it was related to those stories at all, and I was like, why does this sound? And then I looked it up. It does actually have to do with that original story. It's kind of based off that story. That's where she got it from. But the scene where they actually talk about the killing, it like made me cringe for some reason. Like, it was really hard for me to read, and I think it just was because it had to do with like a kid dying, and they talk about the way that the kid died. Yeah, it just really bothered me. I'm really not giving away anything by this book, because she kind of talks about the killing right from the start, and it's like leading up to the story and like how that all happened. So that's what this book is about. Fun story, interesting. If you've heard about that story, then like give it a read, because I don't know, I feel like that would just be interesting. Then we got Summer of '69 by Ellen Hilderbrand. Elaine? I think that's what her name is. She's a thick girl. She's about 2 inches and 420 pages. So she's definitely thicker. Took me a while. This is what the pages look like. Lots of dialogue in this one. There's also there's honestly a lot of dialogue in a lot of the storybooks that I tell. I like dialogue. I find that it's a lot easier to read through, and I read a lot faster when it's dialogue. This book is really good. It's definitely a beach book, very calm, not that exciting. There's not huge dramas. There's not, like, there is drama, but it's nothing where I'm like, oh my gosh, or like anything like that. It's kind of just like a steady, chillaxed book. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites just because it's so, I don't know, I like stories that like engage me a little bit more. In this one I was kind of like, okay, is the chapter over yet, if that makes sense? But this is a great book if you're looking for something that's just calming, a great beach read. I feel like a lot of her books are beach reads because it's just that chill vibe to them. Okay, and then this one I'll use as kind of a transition into my self-help books, because this is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. If you've read this book, you know it's one of the best books on the planet. Glennon Doyle is an amazing author. These chapters are so short, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so short. So if you like short chapters and that's like easier for you to read, I recommend this book. This is what the words look like. It's about 2 inches, 316 pages. So shorter than the Ellen Hilderbrand, and very short chapters, so it's very easy to read. I actually just lent this to my roommate for her to read because I loved it so much. It's a self-help book in disguise, and I say that because it's like she tells stories about her lives and uses metaphors and like all these kind of things that kind of teach you her lessons that she learned herself throughout her life. She became She was married and she actually became lesbian later on in her life, but I thought was really interesting, and I want my mom to read this book because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but my mom is gay. She came out my sophomore year of high school. So it was kind of like a cool book to read about like that sense and like how it kind of happened to her, and like I feel like almost made me understand or relate to my mom a little bit more. So this is really interesting. Such an amazing book, so many valuable lessons. She's an amazing author. I really want to read more books by her. 10 out of 10 book. Second kind of transition into self-help book that I have is Into the Magic Shop. I borrowed this from Chase's mom, so I don't have it with me anymore, but wow, it's so good. It's probably less than an inch thick, pretty easy read. I think the chapters are around 15 to 20 pages. I actually handed the book directly to Chase afterwards because I knew he would like it. It's about a guy growing up, so it's not a girl, and it's like him learning about meditation and all of those kind of practices, but without ever saying meditation. So this little boy, he's super into magic. He goes into this magic shop one day, doesn't have a great home experience, doesn't have a great upbringing, and goes into this magic shop where he meets this lady. And this lady starts teaching him all of these valuable magic tricks, and these magic tricks are basically things that we should all implement into our own lives. And it's the story of how that goes. I love this book. Chase is not a reader, and he finished this book. I think it's the first book he's ever finished, and he loved it as well. So if that says anything, it's a great book. Another 10 out of 10. Another one where I feel like I'll probably read it again at some point in my life. Now let's transition into the self-help books. So from my first book video, if you guys watched it, you saw me talk about this. It's called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I am obsessed with this man. I want to go to his retreats. I want to be led through a meditation by this man. I just think it's so interesting. To give a backstory, this is the first book that I read by him, and I would recommend starting with this one. And I have a very scientific brain, and I need to have a lot of reasoning for why things work and why I should do certain things. And so meditation, I'm like, tell me what's actually happening. And this will literally tell you what is happening with brain scans. Like, it will show you everything. He explains everything so well. He gives you different like ways of thinking, or like makes you realize things that you never realized, or like, that's why I act like that, that's why I do those things that way, that's why I have that habit. Like, that's what this book does. So I saw this book by him. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and it's basically just about that. I don't know if you've realized this, but like 95% of the things that we do every single day are based strictly on our habits. This book is very eye-opening. Highly recommend it. At the end of the book, he takes you through how to get started with meditation, like literally step 1, do this for the 4 weeks, and then move on to step 2. And he like takes you up slowly, gradually. Love this book. It's less brain scans, and it's more just like information about your mind and how habits work and like where they all come from inside your brain. So I love this. If you want to get into meditation, again, he has exact instructions of how to do so. You can also look up meditations by him on YouTube. I love to follow them along. They have ones that are like 10 minutes to an hour. Great guy. Love him. Obsessed with him. This one is called The Slight Edge. I love this book. This is also a book that I will probably be picking up later on in my life. The Slight Edge is basically that one thing that successful people do that make them successful and make them different from everywhere else or everyone else. So the slight edge, it's just a slight edge. It's like, you know, those things that are like the 1% better every single day, and like all of those kind of things. That's kind of what it's about. So it's a guy like telling you his story. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even show you guys the pages for Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So this is what it looks like on the inside, and it is like 300 pages. This one is an inch thick. It's like this. Oh, this book also has like journal entries that you guys can follow along with to kind of like think about your own mind and like sit with it a little bit. So that's really cool about that book as well. The Slight Edge just kind of tells you about like what makes that difference between successful people and non-successful, and like what it takes, and like how it's really not all of this crazy magnificent work that like everyone thinks it is. It's really just that 1% better every single day, that consistency, that strive, all of those kind of things, and that's what this book talks about. Such a stunning book. When I read or posted about it on my story, I had so many DMs talking about how people say that this is their favorite book. I love it. Another 10 out of 10. Again, I'll probably pick this up later on in my life to reread it. That is the majority of like the books that I've read. Now I have 2 little cutesy books that I think everybody needs to read at some point in their life because it'll take you a day to read them. Up first, we got The 4 Agreements. These are what the pages look like. I swear this looks like it's made for a kindergartner, and it's 127 pages. So it's very short, very quick read, and it just talks about the 4 agreements, which are, the first one, be impeccable with your word. 2, don't take anything personally. 3, don't make assumptions. And 4, always do your best. So those are basically the 4 agreements on life, the rules that we should all live by, and it kind of explains them a little bit more and what those all mean. It's such a special book. Again, you keep this like on your nightstand for the rest of your life. Everyone needs to read The 4 Agreements. Just such a cute book. My friend Megan actually recommended this book to me, and I'm so happy she did because I love it. And it's just so cute. It's a wisdom book. It's written by Don Miguel Ruiz, and this is what it looks like, The 4 Agreements. And then lastly, this is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. This is another book that everybody needs to read and keep on your nightstand. Very short book. This is what the pages look like. I don't know why that page actually looks like stressful. It's like super not stressful. It's like very little paragraphs, very short chapters. It is 173 pages. I think I read both of these in like 2 days. They're very short. The Secret of Life, it just teaches you the secret of everything that you need to know. This book really just focuses on like the law of attraction. That's a big one. What you put out is what you're going to receive. How you treat others is how people are going to treat you. The success that you imagine for yourself is the success that you are going to get. It talks about spreading kindness. It talks about all of the lessons that I think everyone needs to be a decent human being. Like, I think everybody needs to read this book. Yeah, that pretty much sums up all of the books that I have read. I hope I had summarized those really well. I am not good about talking about books. It's just genuinely just like a passion. I just love reading, so I hope this was helpful in some way or like gave you some books that you guys should read. I love almost all of the books that I've read. Right now I'm on to the book It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I'm a little over halfway through and I'm just fucking addicted. When I put this on my story, I've never had so many swipe ups on a book in my entire life, so I completely understand. I'm like, you're hooked after the first chapter. It's this girl, she moves to Boston, she starts a flower shop, doesn't have the greatest childhood, is still close with her mom, has some love tied in there. I don't know, you guys should just read it. It's such a great book, but I really hope that you guys liked today's video. Again, I like to go back and forth between nonfiction, fiction, and self-help books. Just keep things interesting, not to burn myself out. Find books that you love. You may hate all of the books that I showed you today, and I might hate all of the books that you show me. It's a very personal choice. I've also read scary books or like very cringy books or like all those kind of things. It's a fun thing to just like play around with different genres. But again, I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope that you guys learned a little bit more of my love for books and all my children. Like, this just makes me so happy. I also just love the smell of books. Like, every time I get a new book, I just have to smell it, if that's weird or not. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.